Hello everybody, and welcome to another episode of Rob's Racing. This is going to be a video response to Chip Hardbody's video that he posted recently about stuff he's learned about himself since he started writing. Actually, before I begin, there is something I want to say. Is that really Baker X Derek's "Cheer" as your ringtone, Chip? If so, that's hilarious. Something I've learned about myself is, first, that I'm a motorcyclist. That is something I did not know about myself until I started writing. And that sounds kind of silly, and obvious, right? But it's true. I started writing 5 years and, let's call it 4 months ago, right? About 5 years and 4 months ago is when I got my license. If you had asked me 5 years and 6 months ago, would you ever ride a motorcycle, I would have given you an emphatic no. Motorcycling is dangerous and not as fast as in a car, which, before people get all up and bothered, that is true. Okay, every day-to-day riding, and maybe riding out in the boondocks or in the back roads, you know, mountain roads and stuff, that may not be true. But on the track, it is true. Cars are faster than bikes. So yeah, I've always been a big fan of cars. And the only reason I started writing was because of my buddy Michael. He, like I said in my very first video ever, he sold me my first bike, which was a 1998 YZF 600R. And he sold it to me for like some stupid low amount of dollars, like $800 for a perfectly acceptable bike or something like that. And I thought, well, you know what, it's inexpensive, and he was looking for a riding buddy, so I felt like a little bit that I was doing him a favor. Little did I know it would change my life. I planned on being a weekend warrior, you know, just go out on small rides with him when he wants to go out and stuff, and, you know, have a fairly decent time at it. However, at that time, my wife and I only had one car. We were newly married, and it was a little bit inconvenient, so I started riding the bike more and more, like to school, you know, and stuff like that. And now here I am, right, 5 years later, and I don't like driving as much as I like riding, and that I never ever expected. So that's something I've learned about myself. I am a full-blown motorcyclist. I'm not an enthusiast. So yeah, to elaborate on the bit where I thought I was going to be a weekend warrior and I end up being an everyday rider, found it interesting because the time that Michael sold me the motorcycle, he had a Yamaha V-Star, and he wanted to be the everyday rider. He wanted to be the motorcycle commuter, as it were. And he thought he was going to be the hardcore everyday guy. And as it turns out, it's the other way around. He no longer has his V-Star, but he does have his father's Harley, which I have video in the works about that right now. And now I'm convincing him to buy motorcycles because I want a riding buddy. I just totally convinced him to buy an adventure bike. So he's got his Harley, and he just bought himself a 2006 DL650 V-Strom. We've taken it out a couple of times, and he thinks it's fascinating and fun. Is the blind leading the blind, though? I have no idea what I'm doing out here, and he has no idea what he's doing out here, you know, on dirt and stuff. He's been a really good friend. I told him this a while ago, and, you know, there's not terribly many people on this planet that have genuinely changed my life. But as he sold me my first bike, and now I live on the damn thing, we can safely say that he did indeed change my life. So I'll say thank you until I wreck, and then I'll say it's your fault. Just letting you know. Other things I've learned, but I am extremely possessive of my space on the road. If somebody infringes on my bubble of on my bubble of comfort, on the road. When I was in a car, I don't know, it annoyed me, but it didn't royally piss me off. On the bike, however, since I am so much more vulnerable, I don't have the cage around me, I get downright angry. I don't know what it is, but people feel that they're allowed to tailgate motorcyclists. I don't know what it is. I have very much noticed that there's somebody less than a second behind me on the bike far more often than when I'm in a car. I try to be nice. I genuinely do. I first give them a wave, like you know, I wave backwards, like back off. And that typically works, but not always. And I start waving fingers, and I don't know, it's gonna get me killed someday. I'm almost certain of that. This is another thing I've learned about myself, actually. I'll just go places. Like, I so rarely know exactly, when I go on little adventure rides and stuff, I generally don't like to just go from point A to point B. I may give myself like a place to go to, and then I meander and I search and I look for roads. Yeah, Chip was saying that he's very destination oriented. I'm not. I'm direction oriented. So another thing I've learned about myself, I lose track of thought very easily. So many of my videos. What a pretty bird! Oh my goodness! I hope the camera picked it up. It was bright freaking yellow with black wings. I don't even know what it was, but it was pretty. Another thing I learned about myself, I'm a bona fide badass. I mean, this is one of the greatest perks about being a motorcycle rider that I never before thought about, right? It's socially acceptable for motorcyclists to wear armor everywhere they go. Just everywhere. It's just fantastic. I get to walk around in a suit of armor like a knight. Nobody told me how cool that would be. So yeah, that makes me a badass. Now there are things that I'm actually afraid to learn about myself on the motorcycle. Like, you may know that I do some amateur grassroots auto racing, but my buddy Leon, he races motorcycles. He's got an SV650, and well, he's been trying for a long time to get me out on a track day on my bike. Even this, right? Any bike. I'm afraid to do it, right? And not so much I'm afraid of hurting and killing myself. I'm afraid that I'm going to love it, and I'm going to keep doing it. And he did get me out on a track day once, and I loved it to death. But it wasn't like a full-blown Sonoma Raceway or Laguna Seca, you know, a big track where, like on an SV or on this or whatever. But we went to a go-kart track back when he had his Supermoto, his SM610, and he had me go around on that, and that was an absolute blast. I had so much fun. And let's see, I test rode so much stuff. There was obviously his SM610. I rode that a bunch. And then I rode a couple of Hondas. A 150, I think it was a 150 and a 230. The 230 was far and away the most fun I had all day. And also an NS50. Well, the most fun I had was on the 230. That NS50 had me gave me the most smiles. That NS50 really, it blew me away. I spent the next 2 weeks looking for a cheap NS50 because I was thinking, there's no cheaper way to get into racing. I could race this. Literally, after one track day, I was ready to go racing and invest all that time, money, effort, stress into a completely new direction in my life. That would have put my automotive racing on hold. Like, my wife's got a Ford Focus, and that NS50, if you take the wheels off of it, will fit in the back of a Ford Focus. I'm like, I don't even need to buy a truck. I was fully prepared to just throw myself into that new event, I don't even know the words. So yeah, that's what I'm afraid of learning. I'm afraid of learning that I will love it too much. That was a long way of saying that. Good God. So yeah, thank you, Chip, for posing the question and getting me back into motovlogging, inspiring me to do a video and edit it and do it quickly in a timely manner because you posed the question. So I appreciate that, and I hope you have enjoyed my ride. Have a good day, folks. I'm out.